So Dr. Buku is in the studio, a surprise guest. So tell me, Dr. Buku, are you standing for Parliament?
Yes, I am.
Were you nominated?
As an independent, yes.
You were nominated?
Yes.
You paid the 3 million?
The 3 million.
Okay, as an independent, but UPC leaning?
UPC leaning and embracing everybody because UPC and NRM seem to be moving together.
No.
So
they seem to be moving together.
Not according to the theories on the Prof Parliament.
So Dr. Buku, why didn't you advise Joseph Otieno and Jimmy Akena to also stand?
Well, they wanted to go for the top job.
Yeah.
And they were not able to. I think they couldn't come to a consensus. And this is where we are actually. We have become very, very important because we anticipated a wave in northern Uganda, particularly Lango, with very high voter turnout if Akena was on the ballot. So right now, if Akena was on the ballot, voter turnout in Lango would have gone towards 70-80%.
Yeah.
And that would have worked very well for those of us who are standing because we would have had what to say. But right now we are stuck. We don't know what to say because Mr. Museveni seems to be there. Bobby Wine, they are not very favorable candidates when you go to the ground down there. The people actually are stuck. They have no choice.
And Otieno, if Otieno had managed?
You know, they don't have, they're in touch with Akena's father, Obote. The historical perspective, that's what the Akena brings. It's not that himself is much better than Otieno. Otieno is
from contesting.
Yeah, Otieno and a certain gentleman called the Dimenap.
Yeah.
They have their perspectives and their wars in Uganda House. But for us on the ground, when you listen to the people, they want Akena. And it's not Akena the person. It is Akena, the son of Obote, the Obote legacy. And I think in our estimation or calculation, the current president, he spent 20 years talking about Obote. In his speeches, he wouldn't finish a speech without condemning Obote. And it appears even after Obote has died, the ghost of Obote still influences his thoughts and strategies. Akena had mobilized, the crowds were there, and these crowds actually are voter game changers. We saw them in the by-election in Dokolo where Honorable Aguri Nyankore won when Cecilia Ogwal passed away, unfortunately. May her soul rest in peace. And even in Oyam North, when we took that seat away from the ruling party with very few votes, but that's how the beginning is. So it was very likely that with Akena on the ballot and campaigning for the flag bearers especially, it would change Lango from yellow, because there are places which are the yellow belt, or Tuke, Kole and so on, to red. And perhaps this would not have worked very well with the calculations of the current government, which is responding to the breakdown of the Luwero consensus. Bobby Wine has taken down south, and therefore the north has become very, very important. And I wasn't surprised to see the president start his campaign from there.
So for you, who are your competitors? What constituency are you
So I'm in a constituency where there is no incumbent, because the incumbent, Honorable Betty Amongi, has shifted to the Lira City. So we are all trying our best.
and the Minister of Health?
The Minister of Health is in Lira City. That's where Amongi is, and that's where the two big giants are contesting. So my constituency, most of you would know Kamdini, Kona Kamdini.
Yeah.
This is the center of the constituency. So once I refer to that, then you would know from the park, nowhere there.
Yeah.
Karuma going all the way to Kole and then bordering Gulu. Yes.
Professor Ndebesa is looking at you keenly and watching your disposition.
UPC give you
it's an electoral college, so I didn't.
I'll give you 2 minutes to respond to Dr. Buku here. Yeah, because who seems to suggest that you are the spoiler in the UPC. He has not said it directly as medical doctors would say, but for me as a student of literature, I've understood it fully, that he's seated opposite you and he's seated opposite the spoiler in UPC.
Dr. Buku has been so precise and specific that because he's a young man in UPC, I will not respond as direct as that, but he basically meant that. The shocking thing is that the failure for us to have a candidate was simply because the Electoral Commission this time did the right thing by making sure that they declined to nominate Jimmy because he's not the legitimate leader of UPC.
You think the Electoral Commission did that for UPC?
No, the Electoral Commission has been doing it for Jimmy because the previous 2 terms when Jimmy didn't stand, Dr. Buku, Jimmy was at Uganda House. Why did he not stand in 2016, 2021? Simply because they had a deal. So simply because the deal did not work, you can't blame it on UPC and on Ochieno. Mr. Museveni's fault this occasion maybe was a decision not to intervene. But where I agree with you, I think the people who were backing Jimmy recognized that the change in direction was such that if they did what they used to do, they're going to lose Lango.
Thank you. No, Dr. Buku, you have no response to that. No. You fit it in your comments as we go forward. No, Dr. Buku. This was just a small introduction. So, Professor Ndebesa, I invited you here to look at Tanzania. Tanzania has been such a closed space. We've closed the UPC. It was not even on the agenda. It's just having 2 UPC people who seem to be at odds with each other is how we've ended up talking about UPC. But Prof, there was an election, and typical of East Africa, the opposition was in prison, and I say that carefully, but knowing that typical of East Africa, this is what has happened. And then, surprisingly, Tanzania has rioted. Dr. Buku, I should introduce you to my niece, Gabriela Mukisa. She has come to see some esteemed political debate. She has chosen to live in Uganda, and she's now looking at these adults discussing politics. But, Prof, since the election, even before the result was out, we've seen rioting. BBC is now claiming that 500 people are dead. It seems incredulous. So I'll ask you to talk about that. And then Agatha, who has visited a Tanzanian prison, can also speak.
Tanzanian prison?
Yes. Yes, Prof.
So, I was in Tanzania roughly 1 year ago. I had gone to Buchama. I think he was still there. To the home of the late...
Professor, this is not a TV. When you say he was also there, the public doesn't know who you are referring to.
Sorry. Ochieno was also there. And we had gone to Buchama, the home of the former president of Tanzania, nation founder Nyerere. And I remember I addressed that I was one of the main speakers, and there was Madaraka Nyerere, the son of Nyerere, and other dignitaries. I remember there was a debate as to whether language is the main or almost the only unifying factor. And I remember reminding the audience there that Rwanda, Burundi, Somalia, even Sudan, they speak the same language, but they are not necessarily free of violence. And my take...
Congo as well? One language?
Most of them speak Lingala and French anyway, but the language factor might assist, but it's not the most important. And then I told them that what had made Tanzania a nation was Nyerere's policy of justice, of social justice. That what is very important is social justice. And I think the likes of Martin Luther King Jr. did say that peace is not,
Bless you.
Peace is not necessarily the absence of conflict or wars, but the presence of justice. I could repeat this one for the audience to pick. That peace is not necessarily the presence, the presence of conflicts, but the absence, the
presence of justice.
The presence of justice.
Yeah.
Therefore, in Tanzania, since Nyerere days, they have forgotten about justice. They thought they were smart. I mean, those who were in the government. CCM thought they were smart. Then they started practicing injustice. You can imagine Tundu Lissu, is it Tundu Lissu or whatever the name is, Lissu, was imprisoned as far back as April. The courts of justice, or injustice for that matter, could not think it fitting to dispose of the case so that he could stand and compete. They judged the case, they pronounced themselves, the courts of justice, 5 days to the election day. And they said he was innocent. He had no case. So, why?
But nominations had happened already.
Had already happened. That is injustice. It is even like this case of these ladies who wanted to stand in Bukedia. The judge definitely knew that nominations were on 22nd and 23rd of October. But he put the judgment on 27th after the nominations. Now, when you play around with those injustices and you think you are smart, time will come when that smartness will catch up with you. So let us think of justice. So Tanzania has played around with injustice. They did it in the Pemba. You remember when there was the Pemba crisis and they buried it? That is as if it was not important. The question of inclusivity is very, very fundamental. They have tried to be inclusive in terms of religion because they have got an stated constitution that they change from the alternate presidents between Muslims and Christians. But when it comes to Christians, it has always been only Catholics, Roman Catholics. There is no Protestant who has been allowed that space. And therefore, the youth in Tanzania felt that, the young people generally felt that there is an injustice. You are denying people space to exercise their constitutional right of choosing whomsoever they want to choose. The system was unjust to those politicians like Lissu. And the Tanzanian system has become so corrupt that besides political corruption, there is also financial corruption or monetary corruption in Tanzania. So they have degenerated, they have gone away from the Arusha Declaration spirit or the Moshi Declaration spirit of President Nyerere. And they are now trying to promote even dynasties. You know, in Zanzibar already they have given the second term to the son of the former President Mwinyi. I am told even Samia Suluhu is planning to have his son also stand in Zanzibar so that by the time, because this time after Suluhu it is likely to be a Christian, she wants her son to stand in Zanzibar so that after 10 years, now he comes as president of Tanzania. You know, that closing of the political space, closing of political space will anger people, and later on that anger will explode. So the point we are making here is that Tanzania, which has been an island of peace, has now become a sea of injustice. And once you have the sea of injustice, you'll have waves. And the waves will either take you, because those who were laughing that Lissu was in the prison have lost their properties. So these properties that people are accumulating because they are in power, and they are laughing at those who are poor, and they are promoting that injustice, they need to be cautioned that time will come when that situation might explode. And it is happening in most parts of Africa. So what we are saying is that let us practice political justice, inclusivity, and respect. Respect for human rights, respect for the rule of law, respect for the dignity of human beings, respect for diverging views or divergent views, because in Tanzania they don't want to hear divergent views. CCM thinks it is God. It created Tanzania. And anybody who is not CCM is supposed to be a Satan or satanic. And the citizens,
constitutionally, the president is very, very powerful.
And the citizens have now finally said, enough is enough. Do they call it tosha in Tanzania? They have said now, Tosha, let all citizens claim their rights as citizens of Tanzania, and Tanzania may not be the same again. And CCM may regret why they didn't give space to contending candidates. Let you defeat them in a free and fair elections, but don't take them to prison because you think you are smart. Because things will turn against you. So that is my situation.
Yes.
But the good thing is that Tanzania will not be the same again. I think the impunity of CCM has been broken. They have been laughing at all neighbors. But I told them when I was in Butiama and I saw Madaraka Nyerere getting it, the son of Nyerere. In fact, I did it humorously. I said, I have heard that even you here in Tanzania, you have started bad manners. That's what I said. You remember? Yeah. That you have started bad manners. And this bad manners is practicing social injustice, economic injustice, political injustice, and fire next time.
Agatha, you've been a victim of the bad manners. Lydia asked whether it's now on your CV that you have visited a Tanzanian prison.
It wasn't even prison. It was Tanzanian dungeons. So they never took me to any official prison.
Ooh.
They never charged me with any crime.
It was a basement of sorts.
Yeah. It was.
Were you taught Kiswahili?
It was that I think one of the reasons they were angry with me is that I can't speak Swahili. They hate people who speak English a lot. So just briefly to say that I think like many other people talk about how Tanzania is closed, and that's true. Like many people, I did not know that Tanzania was that bad. I learned the hard way. I have friends there who always told me that there's one, a veteran journalist, I think most of you must know Generali Ulimwengu. So he always said that in Tanzania we kill each other in Swahili. So the people had been dying. They abduct people, they kill them. It was very, very bad during Magufuli days. When Magufuli died, there was a sigh of relief. They had thought things would change. And we had thought they changed. But last year, I think you guys remember a Chadema politician that was killed and poured acid on, dissolved in acid. They picked him from a bus. Do you know the level of impunity? For a bus to be moving with so many people and soldiers stop it and pick an opposition person and kill him, and they dissolved his face in acid. That must be last year. But, well, you would think they were isolated incident until when we got there, started with some of the people who were supposed to be with there being detained at the airport and later deported. Then they came to pick me up and my colleague Boniface from the hotel because of writing on Twitter about the proceedings of the case against Tundu Lissu, who is charged with treason for having a rally where he said no reforms, no elections. Which no reforms, no elections has led to what we are seeing now. So I think at that point, I saw the impunity that I've never seen in my entire life. There's this police officer who looked at us and first told my colleague from Kenya that he will circumcise him again. And me, he told me, I will teach you a lesson and you'll go and write a beautiful story and no one will do anything about it. Like, they see themselves as gods. And me, when I came out of there, of course, there were threats of if you say anything, we've recorded where you come from, where your children are. If you say anything, we will kill you. I came out with, I almost told them before they dumped me at the border at 2 a.m., you should have killed me, because I will not keep quiet. So I came knowing that even if it's the only thing I achieve, I will tell the world what is happening in Tanzania. Because there was this whole facade of Samia Suluhu is a woman president, is a Muslim, she comes from two vulnerable groups that everyone thought that makes someone a better leader. And in the Western world, in East Africa, everyone thought, Magufuli was replaced by a good leader. Yeah. So I said to myself that I will have to tell the whole world. I remember traveling. I had a scheduled speech at the Oslo Freedom Forum. It happens in Oslo every year. And I was dumped at the border on the 23rd, and that forum I was supposed to travel on Saturday, 24th. So the people who were organizing it, after they knew I was okay, called to check and said, no, but you do not have to. I said, what do you mean? What better way? What is the best time to show the world which is convening for democracy and freedom and justice, to show them with my wounds? My feet were swollen. At the airports, I would be driven in those wheelchairs. And so, yeah, I went there, and I also went to meet with some ministers in Norway who were so shocked. Samia Suluhu had just been there. They had laid the red carpet. And so, but I think that was, for me, even when I woke up every day and felt like, because I am still disabled up to now, and felt like there's no justice, I would have this this relief that at least the world knows what is happening, knows this dictatorship of CCM for what it is. And then now you see people on the streets, people that called for reforms, people that even after Tundu Lissu was put in prison, Chadema, which is, I respect that party so much, it stands on principle, many of its people, they kept calling for reforms before elections. The woman did not just stop at imprisoning Tundu Lissu, her main opponent, disqualified other candidates, made sure Chadema doesn't field any candidate. So you are standing against yourself. They have just declared her, by the way, their electoral commission with 97%. 97.
Oh, it has moved from 95 to
97 point something, over 30 million votes. So you want to tell me that the millions that are on the streets that have refused, you've killed them. Before they shut down the internet again yesterday, the death toll was over 700. So now, when they shut down the internet, it becomes worse.
Where do you get that information from, the 700?
Because we have people that are still in Tanzania that are there are statements from Chadema, from all these opposition people there. I think that BBC and Al Jazeera, especially BBC, ran a story where they said they verified the sources from the. I mean, the figures. They over, you know. So people are being killed like flies, but they are continuing. There's a photo showing, because yesterday I was wondering, do they sleep? But now there's a photo showing, I think they take turns to sleep on the streets. So there are those sleeping on the streets, there are those standing up. So I think after some other sleep. So that level of resolve and determination and willingness to sacrifice their lives means that. And then I see idiots here saying, oh, they are paid by Western imperialists. But for God's sake, how much money would you pay me to go and die on the streets? And they think that they are the ones who are advocating for peace. Because if you do not advocate for justice, like Professor Mwambusa started with, you see, they say, oh, these are the catalysts of chaos. They are the ones who want. So you have peace in this country. Let's talk about this country as an example. You are a selfish person because this peace is only for you. Sam Mugumia's mother will not say she has peace. Her son is missing for months. Damurira and Chibarama's families will not say they have peace. The people that are in jail for 6 years without a trial will not say they have peace. So you who is sitting there and saying, these are the catalysts of chaos and whatever, you are actually the opportunist, the selfish person, because this hasn't come to you yet. You are saying it should stay like that as long as it is happening to other people. And that's what happened in Tanzania. People like Diamond Platnumz, their biggest star, were busy campaigning for CCM. Do you know what was happening in Tanzania every day? Every day one person would go missing. You know about the former ambassador to Cuba, Pole Pole, who is still missing. The others are not might not be as
his
prominent.
mother has been saying, at least give me the body.
Exactly. You know, other people may not be as prominent, but in the 3 years of Samia alone, people, the people that have been recording people who are missing have 200, a number of 200 people who have disappeared, never returned. And those are people they are able to know about. There's a journalist called Mdede who was the one recording this. He went missing as well. But he was working with another journalist who is outside the country. So she's the one that still has these figures. So you who sits there and says, oh, we want peace. Which peace? For who? For only yourself. And at the end of the day, people will say enough is enough. I will end with saying that I left Tanzania thinking that Tanzanians that have met a society that is more timid, more docile than we are. Because we were first taken to an immigration office, and we had been given 3 lawyers. The Tanganyika Law Society had assigned us lawyers when they were taking us from the hotel. Those lawyers could never say anything to these officers. They only would say, ndio bwana, like bowing to that authority. And I said, but at least Uganda hasn't reached there. The lawyers speak. So I thought this is a timid lot. But to see what has happened today, it shows you that everyone has levels that you are going to push them to. And I hope that people learn lessons. I hope that people in this country learn lessons.
Let me make one impunity. Just one. I was scandalized to learn in African tradition and culture that you stop somebody going to attend a funeral. So the government of Tanzania, CCM, stopped Chadema delegates who were going to attend the funeral of Raila Odinga in Kisumu. How dare you stop people going for a funeral?
Since then, that guy, John Heche, has been in detention. People say he's very ill. People think he was
the one
tortured.
who was going to bury.
Yeah. John Heche is now the one who goes in the footsteps of Tundu Lissu, because he's the vice president of Chadema. He is in prison in Dodoma, and every report says he is very unwell, very ill, but no one cares about that.
Honorable Ssemujju, you finally you have an opportunity to say Uganda is so good, because we always thought Tanzania is so good, and now these are first-hand reports coming out.
Because
and you are the one who has been saying, you and Joseph Ochieng especially, or Joseph more than you, even though Joseph is a very much what we usually call you a promising person, but when you listen to all this,
you see, societies differ. If you go to Rwanda, their election, there will be no chaos, nobody is beaten. So someone called it a coronation ceremony. An outsider who is ignorant will think things are okay in Rwanda. Tanzania is better than Rwanda, but it is also a cage that it's a pot on fire.
Could you have imagined that there'll be riots in Tanzania?
No, I didn't. I actually thought, I looked at Tanzania as a refined form of North Korea, where there is total control, total authority over everything. But maybe the authorities in Tanzania did not read the signs. Because 2015, when Lowassa, I hope that's how they pronounce his name, who had been a prime minister, and Jakaya Kikwete left and joined the opposition. If you look at the votes of Magufuli, the first time he was standing, he had 8 million and they cheat, and then Lowassa had 6 million. It's one had less than 60. So if you're in a country where even after cheating you get 8 million and the opposition gets 6, you need to learn. Because if you go to Parliament, I have visited Chadema, they had at one time 7 MPs, 17, and those fictitious figures that ruling regimes want to throw in people's faces to tell you that actually they are popular. They manufacture them, and then they do a lot of propaganda to make everybody believe that they genuinely got them. The party that won elections in Egypt when Hosni Mubarak was removed had 1 MP in Parliament. But when they opened that small window, they were able to win elections. But they created an impression that they were very popular, they were over. So even the figures in Uganda, and that's one lesson people in NRM need to learn. Because in Tanzania, I've told you, I visited Chadema, they hosted me in Dodoma, their parliament group, they were 7, then they became 17. These ones were about 80% control of parliament. And that gave them comfort that we are popular, and they were throwing those figures in the same things that you see here in NRM does. They will tell you, how many people have you nominated? How many MPs do you have? So all of them, from north to south to everywhere, they know how to manufacture figures and use them. So the CCM should have learned how did the opposition, that time they had a coalition, and I was reading a BBC story, they said for the first time in 54 years, that's when the opposition got 6 million and they had 8. But again, they had bigger numbers in the parliament and so on, and they pretend as if nothing had changed. Because even to get a person at a level of prime minister leaving CCM to go and join the opposition was also unheard of in Tanzania. They ought to have turned the corner in 2015 to allow genuine competition in Tanzania, because people who are on the street are not necessarily protesting because an election has been cheated. They actually complaining because they were not allowed to participate in the election at all. You have the 2 leading opposition figures, one party, both of their parties banned, and the leaders are in jail. I saw Standard in Kenya. They had a huge headline, Samia contesting against Suluhu. Samia versus Suluhu. So, and I was in Tanzania about 15 days ago. In Dar es Salaam, billboards, all electric poles, they all bore portraits and posters of only one person. She didn't even allow her MPs to put up posters. It was just the president alone in the whole of Dar es Salaam. So I came wondering, at least Museveni will put his, and he will allow his MPs and councillors to put. But there are areas in Ukolo here, if you're opposition, they will remove them. Where Museveni passes, I think they want to save him. They don't allow, even when he visits constituencies. In the last election, they removed all our posters before he came to campaign. So Tanzania, they do that.
So this is a habit.
They will remove, once he's visiting, they will remove, he doesn't look at the posters of the opposition.
The Minister of Gender.
Yeah.
On Entebbe Road, we don't have any.
Yeah, you can't, because he uses the road every day.
Oh,
so it will,
I didn't realize that.
I think they save him and tell him that there is no opposition. Things are things are okay. So they will
the results start showing.
But that is the ostrich model of politics.
Yeah, they want to bury, they want to create comfort. So Tanzania is paying, because Tanzania, Samia Suluhu is not a Museveni. I don't even think she's in charge. In fact, if you ask the ordinary Tanzanian, they think it is Jakaya Kikwete who is ruling.
He was the first to run away, by the way.
So that's what they claim. No, they claim he may not have.
Who?
He's actually in Kenya. He went to even meet with
who's this one?
Jakaya Kikwete. So the feeling in Tanzania, when you interact with the ordinary people, they think it is not Suluhu, that it is Jakaya Kikwete who is in charge of the country.
And planning for his son.
I don't know, but they say he's in charge. Because in Tanzania, you're not just fighting against a president like it is in Uganda, that the person who is in charge is the president and his family. In Tanzania, you're dealing with an institution, the whole of CCM. They are still almost intact. So these crimes that they are committing, they will commit them under Pombe Magufuli, they will commit them under Suluhu, they will commit them under anyone else.
The levels that differ.
Yeah, so, but also the challenge, because when Suluhu attempted to open, the opposition got organized. And I think they realized that from 6 to 8, you can be overrun by these people. No, so the response was because of the challenge that the opposition was presenting. And I don't know where it will stop, because Tanzanians, like you see North Koreans, the way they were behaving, they were conformists. They don't want to annoy anyone. If they have changed and taken on a new character, you don't know what will happen. And I sympathize with Museveni, who, because of the nature of politics in Kenya that will attract protests and riots, he was now moving towards Tanzania. So the decision to take the pipeline to Tanzania, the construction of an inland port, was because he thought Kenya is more chaotic. So you have a country in Tanzania where you can do business, where there is full authority. I don't know whether now we take our pipeline through Rwanda and Congo. Because all these fellows, the other day when we had Martha Karua here, she was telling us, you guys, we need to fight. We have mafias running East African states. So if you see the things that are happening in Tanzania, the things that are happening in your own country, the mafias in Kenya, if all of us don't combine to fight, we are headed for doom. And I didn't know that Tanzania will explode. So the NRM people, senior NRM people, you need to pick lessons. Stop glorifying fake figures.
I saw that has responded to that. I don't know whether it is true, but I said, don't try it here.
But he has always said that, even for Kenya. He said, so when he
that's the lesson he learned. He has learned from this. Don't try it here. Our security is tight, and we will not have any mercy on anyone.
Okay.
I'm a graduate of University of Dar es Salaam, and the Tanzanians used to say, don't try what is going on in Uganda here. Yeah. Now it has gone to them.
And here they are saying, don't try it here in Uganda.
These rioting people were burning homes of
yes. Before let me just close that remark on Ochieno. Legitimacy versus legality. This is a very important thing. Sometimes the people up there.
UPC.
This is UPC, but also it applies in this context. The people up there have lost touch. The leaders lost touch with the people on the ground. So they are bogged in their legal issues, but on the ground the story is different. For example, in UPC is there on the ground. But up there are all these challenges. Down there, people don't care whether it's Ochieno who is Obote's legacy, and it's best represented by Akena, despite all of these court proceedings. Now, coming to Tanzania, I am a scholar of political sciences because I did health policy, and I had to do modules in political sciences. There's a very good book by Paul Collier which describes this situation. It's called, I think, Wars, Guns, and Votes, Democracy in Dangerous Places. Most of you must have already. And it shows generally that there has been a general decline.
I think it's Collier, the way you say it in Acholi.
Yeah, Paul Collier.
Yes.
Paul Collier, yes, Lango, Acholi, whatever. Bacholi. Yeah. Call us Bacholi, those from know. So context is very important because democracy is on the decline all over the world, by the way. So it's on the threat. And if you look at what is happening in Tanzania, I was there. I used to go to Tanzania a lot because my brother was studying in Dar es Salaam. University doing medicine, so I used to visit a lot, and I visited it to work in 2012 to train the COSTECH on Commission for Technology and Science on policy research. And when I was in the vehicle, I would ask, how is the politics, and the driver can easily, tax. Then went back in 2016. Now, what is striking, in 2016, one day I wake up in Dar es Salaam, I'm watching TV, and I'm like, oh, what is happening? Is this a movie in Kasese? The Kasese massacre. I'm in Tanzania. And we are talking, and the Tanzanians are saying, you guys, you've brought back Amin. Then I go back about last year to address the Tanzania Medical Association, and the story has changed. They said when Magufuli was there, the citizen was on top, and the government bureaucrat was below serving them. When Magufuli left, the government bureaucrat went back up, and the citizen was down. If you look at the indices which describe whether such a situation can happen, actually, Tanzania is an antithesis to political science research. Fragile State Index. It is the most stable country in East Africa. If you look at ethnic fractionalization, looking at if people are so diverse, can the country hold? Tanzania was forced to become homogeneous because of using Swahili. And we all said, Tanzania, is very good. In the common labor market talk, we say Tanzanians are mild as opposed to Kenyans, and Ugandans are just smart, and Nigerians are like this and like that. But all of that has defeated the previously known literature on comparative politics. It is an antithesis to see what has happened in Tanzania. What lessons can we draw? If we go by what Agatha said, that the CDF is posting and saying this won't happen here, it's very possible. This is what we have learned. Because we have had a strong man for 40 years, the economy is growing, even health indices have improved. Silence of the guns in northern Uganda. A big part of northern Uganda is embracing their enemy, the NRM, the Southerners, and the Southerners are embracing the Northerners for political and economic benefits. But there are similar characteristics in Uganda. There is a book called the Authoritarian Playbook, which is manifesting in Uganda. First, demonize the opposition, which has been happening. I'll finish the opposition, all this and that. And then 2, silence the media, which we are witnessing. And then 3, undermining the judiciary. I attended the pre-AGM of the Law Society, and I addressed them on our experience of the Medical Association, what we do, how we managed to engage the state, to engage the state and achieve and make some achievements. And when I listened to their stories in the Law Society, what they were presenting, they are saying the judges of today are actually cadre judges, and the judiciary is not independent. Parliament, which is supposed to oversee actually the implementation activities of the executive, is actually is submissive to the executive. So we have an autocrat, according to the scholarly definition. The president is an autocrat. Then we also have an oligarchy, where we have an individual who can remove you from the Electoral Commission register, and they can silence the press, and nothing happens, by the way. I'm even wondering why they are negotiating, because the press, as a fourth estate, has a role to monitor and evaluate the government. And then finally, the use of technology, which is supposed to be a good thing. Other countries are investing in AI to advance. For us, we are investing to suppress the people. It is not sustainable. And this is happening, by the way, across Africa. If you look carefully across Africa, democracy is under threat. And Uganda, which was a champion of democracy, we were among the countries which were called what? The rising stars? The President Kagame, and so they were called the new breed, as self-defeated. And Tanzania has not exploded. It has imploded. It has imploded. Uganda is likely to implode. What should the leader Wanyotos do? Consult the scholars to make analysis for you and take their advice seriously and implement reforms immediately. Without that, in the next 5 years, we shouldn't be surprised if Tanzania plays out in Uganda. We have a youth, a budging youth, which really has nothing to lose.
If I was a voter,
once there is a trigger,
I'd vote for you. You go and do those things.
Yeah, I'm going to do them. Please vote for me if you're in Oyam there. Thank you very much.
Honorable Ssemujju, why have you chased Monitor from Parliament? You are the parliamentarian in the studio.
You have so much airtime on the floor.
This one he has not said. We asked the Deputy Speaker, who was chairing Parliament this week. The first day we raised these questions, he said he didn't know. And he said he will cross-check.
He said it is an administrative issue, all those things.
We raised the same issue the following day. I missed Thursday, but I saw in the media he said there is an active investigation. Because my issue, when I spoke on this matter, wasn't just Parliament. I think there is an undeclared policy to, I don't know whether to kill the nation outlets in Uganda. Because I'd been told in one of the cabinet meetings, Museveni had said he will close Monitor and NTV. But I think Museveni acts differently. So he thought maybe closing them will cause unnecessary attention and problems. You find a way of killing them quietly. So he begins by saying, don't cover me. Don't cover me. And I told one of the journalists, you see the NRM people, the level of sycophants in NRM, when they see Museveni limping, Sometimes because of old age, they will all copy. They will think that is the new fashion now of walking. You saw what Kenya was doing with his fingers. So I am not surprised that Anita Amongo will certainly say don't also come and cover parliament. If she will not tell you that Museveni has chased you, but because it is infection, that's how they live their lives in NRM. Something that Museveni doesn't want, it will go down. Everybody will seek to implement because that's how you appease him. Because there are about 6 or more NMG outlets or platforms. It's not possible that they all committed the same offense at the same time and they all under investigation at the same time.
If any.
Yes. You close Monta and say, Monta, you have done this, but Monta, KFM, NTV, Dembe, they have another radio station, all social media. So this is now an unannounced policy that we must, because they had asked Parliament, electoral commission around the election time is the biggest advertiser. I saw New Vision with the Workday with over 70 pages, and there was none in Monta. So it appears we've gone back to the old days. When Monta started, Museveni had ordered all government agencies not to advertise on Monta. Yeah. By luck, they survived. So now, I think he may not announce, but he's gone back to the old ways. So you deal with Monta, and I am told there are also other government departments that are about to do the same. So if you're Monta or NTV, you show up, they tell you to go away. So really, there is no reason, in my view, why Monta and NTV are just from Parliament. I think you just have one of those NRM sycophants wanting to appease Museveni and do what Museveni has done. And that's why they can't communicate any offense that they have committed. And they want to keep it vague that there is an investigation. Because tell me, an investigation should be about something. Tell me that this is what we are investigating. But they stop at announcing an investigation. I saw Obore saying it is by security.
Investigation and then say bring the following evidence or something like that.
Yeah, because you should accuse me of something and then investigate.
And then I respond to you.
Yes, but you have not accused me of anything, and you are saying, but for me, it is not possible that all the 6 platforms of NMG have committed the same offense at the same time, and they all under investigation. Because in the past, when I was working at Mond, Museveni ordered and KFM was closed. When we published a story about the war in the north, they came and closed Montar, but they didn't close others. So that's what they have been doing. Because that there is a corrective punishment and people sat and all committed one crime at the same time.
Professor Ssemujju Ndebesa, the banning of NMG from Parliament, the Speaker's assistant is also alumnus of NMG. So, the Chris Obore.
Oh yeah.
I think the challenge is wider than NMG. It has something to do with closing the alternative spaces. Because earlier on, you remember, most political NGOs were actually closed or at least intimidated and into silence. So alternative voices are being silenced, whether it is in the monitor, whether it is in the civil society, whether it is even in the church. The church, they may not do it openly, but they can do it quietly. In some churches, especially if you are going to be appointed a bishop, you have to get clearance from the state. So that is a challenge that is being faced, and that's why they are being accused of crimes that are not mentionable. People are speculating that maybe it is because NTV exposed the indecent dancing of the speaker and Obore. Yeah, that's what people are saying. That's what people are speculating.
On social media before. I didn't even know NTV had written.
Social media is not available for no, it's not available for the majority of the people, especially up country where there is a lot of people who support the regime in power. So that image that they brought it, actually they brought it, I think they got it from social media and put it on NTV. And then when they were closed, even they put it more there. So the question is divergent views. Do we respect divergent views? Do we respect diversity in Uganda? I think what is happening in Tanzania is exactly as a result of closing off alternative views, alternative spaces, divergent views, and yet these are supposed to be respected. As I think Wanyoto pointed out and others here, is that this is the 21st century. You are not going to close alternative viewpoints and alternative views and divergent views and you think you'll do it forever. This is a different situation. Actually, Nyerere had put it earlier on when he was opening for multi-party and economic liberalization. They almost took place in the same period at the same time. When he was being asked why he was doing it, he said that when you, in our African tradition, there is a saying that when you see, you all have beards or the head or whatever, hair, and when you see your neighbor having a rough shave, and you are in the same circumstances, because that neighbor did not put water, did not weten the hair or the beard, you weten yours before they reach you. Because if you wait, you will also have a rough shave equally. So I think African governments should learn lessons, one or two. Unfortunately, is that in Africa, it appears as if our leaders, what they promise when they are coming into power, if you know when the leader in Africa is coming into power, if you want to know what he will do, you see what he's against. That is what he will do. And if you want to know what he will not do, you listen to what he's saying he's going to do. What they promise is not
what they do.
Actually, it is what they promise is they do the opposite. They do the reverse.
We have three of them here standing.
So
Obuku, Anyoto, and Ssemujju.
So the question is
UPC president here.
So the question
we've got fantastic records. Let's come to that.
The question is this is the 21st century. Let those who are in power, those who are responsible for governance, accept divergent views, because if we don't accept divergent views, divergent opinions, alternative views, then and we close the space and laugh around and say we are protecting the gains, things will catch up with us, and it is catching up with us, unfortunately, when actually we are trying to create nations. I agree with President Museveni when he was replying to these Western diplomats and whatever. He replied to them that, you see, for you, while you are running nations, for us we are creating nations. We are not yet nations. We are still creating them. Now, you cannot create a nation by closing off other people. We need to be inclusive. And by abusing other people, denying them their rights and laughing at them at the same time and say, what can you do? After all, we are in charge. We have the correct line. For you, you are an idiot. You don't know what you are saying. I think we should respect each other. We should respect each other's dignity. We should provide space. And Parliament, Ssemujju, Honorable, that action you are taking of closing off the
actions of Parliament are taken by resolutions. So then you will choose Parliament as an institution. But acts of a speaker or a deputy speaker, really, you cannot blame everybody in Parliament.
Okay, they are the face of Parliament. And if you don't advise them accordingly, that they can also have their houses go on fire.
Agatha.
We say in my language that if you talk about something that is ominous and somebody doesn't listen when it happens, it is not you who has brought it.
We have a monitor person, an NMG person.
I am not an NMG person.
You are no longer an NMG person.
I actually have never been.
Oh.
I have worked in two newsrooms, The Independent and Uganda Radio Network. I have corresponded for NMG, but I love NMG. I think that the consistency, the bravery they have exhibited over the years is enviable. You cannot live in a country where every day, in every speech of the president, an NMG paper, and then, you continue pushing back, and because they could decide to be like other private entities we see here who prefer to get to get a billion every year from Parliament and not say anything bad about Parliament.
Yeah.
Sometimes people do it for money, other times for cowardice. Maybe for you, yours is the latter. But what I'm saying is
firmly the latter, yes.
Yes, what I'm saying is that to have people that do not bow down to either, that are not cowards, but also are not putting money above. Money is important, yes, but if you put it above the country we live in, and I'm always thinking so about people that think everyone should go with what they benefit from. I think that a better society governed by rule of law would benefit every one of us. Everyone always finds themselves the other side. They do, but people here do not learn from history. They would learn from people like Amama Mbabazi and the Public Order Management Act. They would learn from, so many ways to learn. And Kaihura the other day when he was in the court martial and
or even from Professor here, who was early. What was your party? Your political party. He was in a political party. UPM, yes.
Oh,
you didn't know?
but
It was banned and ceremoniously though. And that's the only part I have belonged to.
I think that people that advocate for the rule of law have advanced important principles that we should look at. If the law is there governing, it means that we are not subject to whims of the people. Not me, not you.
Yes.
And even if you're in the NRM now, it should benefit you that impunity. And I'll talk about this again, that when there's that saying about someone keeps taking, you give them a kilometer, they take a mile. That's what Anita Mung has done. I started writing about what was happening in Parliament. I was writing about Parliament even before, but I mean this abuse of power, the impunity in 2021, when you're passing bills without quorum. And that's unlawful. It starts there. It goes to, there's an issue that Ssemujju raised when they were passing 8 bills in a day, hurriedly like that, without consultation, without debate, without nothing. It went to censuring people because they've said something you do not like. People like Namganza, people like Zake. And those committees, by the way, the one which censored Zake was being chaired by Abd Katuntu. So when you see him now the other day with Anita Among crossing Tenarium, and you think he has crossed now. Yeah, now the official at that rally. But Abd Katuntu. No, but that day they were talking about supporting NRM and President Museveni. So now
He is still balancing.
So now it goes to banning the media. And that's, if it were up to her, she would ban even us, citizens that are just writing on social media. That's why the Computer Misuse Amendment Act came about. That's how it came about. That's what it was for. But I'll say again, and for Honorable Wanyoto to take this to their chairman, that fish rots from the head. So it starts with what the president is doing, how he has always
your microphone is not on.
How he has always named NMG and NMG paper for saying the truth. Because if it is true that the anger of Parliament is because they showed
Says the evil paper.
Obore dancing with Anita Among, it's not a lie. It's not concocted. It's not an AI deep fake video. It's the truth. Why do people... There's nothing wrong. Exactly. Why do people fear the truth? We are always branded...
Is there something wrong with that video? I've not watched it.
I have seen it. No, they were not in a club.
I've seen it.
And I don't know why people don't talk about. For me, what shocked me the most, because I know that Obore is related to Anita Among. So it is natural that he will be happy. The person people do not talk about enough is Tango Doi. was the first one dancing in that video. Tango Doi was supposed to be a referee in an election that happened recently.
There was a referee in Argentina who scored a goal and he said the cross was very good.
So the video.
The referee?
Yes. He turned it in and he said, see, this cross was very good. Maybe Tango Doi is a good cross.
So that's what the video is about, people dancing the day Anita Among is nominated and is unopposed after blocking out all her opponents, including one who disappeared on the day of nominations. But lastly is that we have a law here. I first started with
there's
other
a judge
things.
who has said someone can disappear themselves.
There are laws in this country. And Honorable Wanyoto was talking about how we have the best, most beautiful, most progressive constitution. And that constitution guarantees freedom of the press under Article 29. And it's the supreme law of the land. So who are you, an Anita Among or a Tayebwa, to come and want to supersede the constitution? People are just too drunk on power. And we need to all protect ourselves from that, because anyone will be a victim of this impunity. The press person of President Museveni said, no, President was uncomfortable with monitor. And that's why he said they are not going to cover my events. What are you talking about? When did we reach that level that someone has to be comfortable with what I've said, with what the monitor has written on NTV, and we are saying that's okay? There is a law that allows freedom of speech and the press. That's one. There's a law and process that you should follow if they have committed a crime. You write to Monitor or NTV or NMG and say, because you wrote a story that is defaming me, or go to court for defamation. There is no communication you've given to the Monitor. There's no fair hearing you've given them. But you are closing them and we are now focusing on what did they do. No, you are just abusing power. Plain and simple.
Dr. Buku.
Yes. Thank you very much for Didier, thank you for giving me a time strategically, of course, and tactfully. That's what called collective responsibility.
Dr. Buku must be careful because he says UPC and NRM are in a relationship.
Up there in Kampala. But when you reach down there, UPC is very strong and it's very UPC. We still remember the good things. Yeah, the relationship is broken once you cross Karuma. Now,
Moses Berahanga has actually has reminded me that even in the US, they limited access of reporters to the White House.
Yeah, but that is the authoritarianism that is creeping up even in beacons of democracy like the US. You know this.
That's what they did. Others walked away as well.
Yes.
Trump is not a good example of wanting this.
No, Trump is an antithesis of the forefathers of the founding of America. Anyway, what is happening here? The bigger perspective. You know, I borrow the saying of Albert Einstein that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We are not learning. We are not learning as a country. In any case, I remember President Museveni coming here and debating with Ssemujju. Was it here or it was in State House?
Both.
So it was twice, that means. So he was really a champion of the press.
I was looking forward to it.
And he actually would reply, long missives, unlike his son. He would reply to Bobby Wine. Write a whole page, Bobby Wine writes, you know, and that was very encouraging, using the media for the correct things. Those are the gains he should be protecting. He, for a very long time, has allowed the Nation Media Group to operate. And Nation Media Group has really been the monitor of government. Daily Monitor is the monitor of government. If you want the truth, you go to the Daily Monitor. Because, and they have, and he reads it, I think, fast. Now, what has happened?
Chasing them.
He picks it up.
He will read it fast, because I remember one time he said, I don't need newspapers. And then we photographed his vehicle.
And he was,
yes. He would even send a chopper to pick them when he's in the north.
And actually, for us in the medical association, we learned that if you want the president to get your message, first write in the Daily Monitor and the New Vision, that column. Would really beg for it, because the policy brief you send to him might never reach. Or if it reaches, he has other intelligence briefs. But once you write there, they will call you the next week that why don't you come and we talk. Now, what is happening? What is happening? As a progressive intellectual, when you meet the president, he tries to do all of these economics. He presented himself that way. But what has happened? Cult personality. Everybody is around the power, Mr. President. Even opposition. When he came to Lango to negotiate for these votes, and the Lango people are telling him, I saw the guy presenting, and he was like, oh my God, he had seen a demigod. That shows that we are moving towards authoritarianism. When you look at Parliament, the Speaker,
we are moving.
No, we are moving further and further. Deep.
Yeah.
When you look at Parliament, it has now moved from the. When you look at Parliament, the Speaker commands this respect as if she's a queen. Even honorable members of Parliament sometimes are about to kneel down. You get? I don't know what is going on there. So
they
much
have
so
already
that
done it.
you get what I mean. Then
You know, there were rulers here called demigods.
And then now there is censorship of what? Of the media with the favorites, with the preference of the state media. These are other characteristics, and of course human rights violations. You know, Dr. Besige and the others, the Agathas have been fighting for, are in a prison, no charge. The other day, by the way, I was with the lawyers there in their pre-AGM. You could hear stories and say, Allah, someone has taken 20 years, has not seen. So these ones of 28 years. So I wanted to remind the president and the leaders that they should remember COVID-19. You know, for us, we have an experience in Mulago. We used to shout, oh, we don't have blood, by the way. We don't have oxygen. But of course, the political class had their access to Aga Khan and elsewhere. Then time came when they couldn't fly. Once hell breaks loose, as it did in Tanzania, sometimes there is even no time.
Yep.
In fact, President Obote, when he was overthrown, he was very lucky to get out. You know it. Hell broke loose for a number of reasons for which he was accountable. Even if he wasn't responsible, he was accountable. Here, I've been telling Lydia Wanyoto here, you are accountable and responsible. Mm-hmm. The president is accountable and responsible. The CDF who is throwing words anyhow is accountable and responsible. Gaddafi was all powerful, funding elections in Europe. I remember one time Gaddafi was visiting a hotel in Switzerland. His son slapped a white worker in Switzerland, and that worker was made to apologize to Gaddafi. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Time came when he became, Gaddafi, the African president.
Now the French
time
president
came when things were upside down. Protecting the gains. Please let us protect the gains. There were gains in the media space. You know, the media has grown. Private, public has grown. Without the media, we will be in darkness. I shudder to think about Uganda in darkness.
Thank you.